Most women spend decades fighting their cycles instead of working with it. We need to have hormone alignment. So once we can understand the hormonal shifts of each phase and how to use nutrition, lifestyle to work with our hormones and not against them, you unlock more energy, fewer cravings, better periods, and easier weight loss. So let's go ahead and dive in on how you can biohack your cycle in a very simple way. In order to be able to biohack your cycle, you need to understand the phases of your cycle. So I used to think that my cycle was my period, and that's not the case. Okay. So your cycle is period to period. It's an ongoing thing. You have 4 phases of your cycle. We have menstruation, which is when you're bleeding or your period, however you want to call it, but it should be 3 to 7 days. If you're bleeding less than 3 days, that's a red flag. Maybe we don't have enough estrogen. Our lining's not building up enough. If it's more than 7 days, maybe our estrogen's too high. Maybe our progesterone's too low because we have too much blood. So again, our period is literally our 5th vital sign, and we can look at it every cycle and be like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Tell me about it. Okay. So that is our period. We're looking for that red wine color, cherry red color for our blood. If it's like that light purpley, again, that can give us a red flag of maybe estrogen's not high enough. If it's brown, potentially progesterone is low. I know people are like, brown blood is old blood. Yes, but why? It's lower moving blood. Is it our uterus is tilted? Is it just due to low progesterone? Again, your job, being your biggest health advocate, is to ask why. Don't just be like, oh, that's normal, because a lot of women have it. No, we want optimal. Strive to be different. Strive to be optimal. Strive to be symptom free. That's what we want. That's when our lives are just so much happier. Okay. So let's dive into this a little bit more. After our menstruation, you will head into your follicular phase. But something I really want you to think about when it comes to your menstrual phase and your period is that this is when your hormones are at their lowest. Okay. That's what triggers the period, is when the hormones drop down after ovulation, and the body really needs rest and nourishment. Okay. I am not a believer that, your period is your curse and all of that. I believe that your cycle and your hormones are your superpower. And in order to be in your superpower, you also need to support them. Okay. And so what that means is when your body needs that rest and nourishment, we're going to give it to it. So then we can show up 100,000,000 times percent the rest of the time. Okay. I think that's important to think about. Instead of looking at rest as a sign of weakness, no, it's like an athlete. You're taking that time to rest and fuel so then you can show up on race day. I don't know why I keep using like athletes as runners. I don't even like running, but anyways. So the goal here is to restore, slow down, reduce inflammation. And I like to focus on foods that are going to be very, very, very mineral rich, very iron rich, and then foods that are going to support the absorption of iron. And very easy to digest foods. Okay. So think red meat, think, beef organs, think bone broth, think vitamin C rich foods, because vitamin C is going to help you with the absorption of iron. I'm going to be thinking of herbs that are very high in potassium, like nettle. Milky oats is another very restorative one. Teas are going to be really great during this time. Ginger, turmeric, making sure your like dates are a higher mineral. If you're like craving something sweet, dates with some grass-fed butter, add some sea salt, get some good old quality sea salt in there. Those are the types of foods that I would gravitate towards making sure you're really getting in. I would be getting in like squash and sweet potato, those also lower glycemic, but B vitamin rich and potassium rich carbs. Okay. So those are going to be nourishing. And honestly, I know people are like, don't eat carbs, don't eat carbs. We need carbs. We need carbs. Okay. Just no naked carbs. Balance your blood sugar. And for exercise, we're going to be doing stretching, walking, yoga, Pilates. You can do weightlifting. Just maybe we're not shooting for PRs. I'm not going to be running sprints. I don't even like running. We're not going to be doing HIIT. Okay. Now, you may notice that you have a little bit less energy on your period. Well, you're literally bleeding out your uterine lining, so that kind of makes sense, right? Now, should you be exhausted and not be able to function? No, you should not. But maybe instead of getting up for that 5 a.m. workout, you sleep a little bit more and you go on a walk. Okay. We're working with our body. Instead of reaching for the coffee, maybe you're going to reach for the matcha that has L-theanine. That's a little bit more calming. Okay. These are little simple things that will help support you at this time. Okay. Maybe you're going to go to bed a little bit earlier. Maybe you're going to take a bath. Maybe you're going to do a little bit more reading and a little bit less time scrolling Instagram. Okay. And then you head into your follicular phase. Now, when we think about our follicular phase, this is our, when the follicle is getting ready to release the egg, which will happen in the ovulatory phase. So this is follicular phase is when you're done bleeding until you start creating cervical mucus in the ovulatory phase. So this is when your estrogen's rising. You have better insulin sensitivity during this time due to estrogen. You have more energy. You have more mental clarity. This is the goal is let's build some muscle. You can push harder. You can, our creativity is higher. We have all that energy, like let's go. Okay. So I'm focusing on cooling proteins like chicken, like white fish, turkey, things like that. I'm focusing on fermented veggies. I'm going to really support my gut during this time. I'm focusing on lots and lots and lots of colorful veggies. I'm focusing on, I always focus on vitamin C rich foods, but vitamin C rich foods. Your digestion is typically a little bit better during this time. So it's a great time for raw veggies. If you like raw veggies, if you digest raw veggies, this is a great time to bring them in. Lots and lots and lots of fiber. Again, you are more sensitive to insulin at this time, which is great, which means you utilize carb better. It's also a great time and it's easier for you to build muscle during this time. So this is when it's really your power window. Like this is when I'm going to go to reach the PRs. This is when I'm going to go for the heavy workouts. And using that rise in estrogen as my free pre-workout, basically. So I would just be very conscious, like you're setting yourself up. Think, I'm setting myself up for an amazing ovulation and great egg quality. So I'm focusing on blood sugar balance. I'm focusing on lean weight cooling proteins that are going to support my lower body temp at this time. I'm focusing on things that are going to support my rise in estrogen. So if you are into seed cycling, which I love, you're going to be doing pumpkin and flax seeds, a tablespoon of each, organic, whole. You can grind them before eating them every single day. That's going to support that rise in estrogen. It's going to support egg quality. And you're really going to use this creative time because you rested in your menstruation during your period. So now we can be powerful and now we can use that creative energy. We can use that rise in estrogen to make the big plans, to do the workouts, to just get the things done. Like boom, boom, boom. You all know like the days when you go, wow, I checked everything off my list. Follicular phase vibes. And then you're in ovulatory phase, which is the peak. Okay. This is cervical mucus. This is when the follicle releases the egg, right? Estrogen's peaks. We'll get an LH surge. Testosterone will also peak during this time. You feel confident. You feel strong. You feel social. You love community. You have great at communication during this time. You have strength. Okay. Lots and lots and lots of soluble fiber. Did I say that? Lots and lots and lots and lots of soluble fiber, lots and lots and lots and lots of liver support. Okay. Hormones are peaking. Yay. Awesome. Amazing. But we need to make sure that we are also detoxing them well and moving them well. And that's going to be soluble fiber. That's going to be liver support. This is our liver's job. Okay. So what does this look like? Berries, oranges, cruciferous veggies, lemon water is great for liver support. We need vitamin C for it. Flaxseed. You're going to do pumpkin and flax seeds until you ovulate, and then you'll switch, if you're seed cycling, to sesame and sunflower seeds, 1 tablespoon of each daily from after ovulation to your period. That's what I'm going to be focusing on food-wise. I'm going to still be focusing on the the white meat, the cooling proteins, the leaner proteins. I'm going to be focusing on the fact that this is my max strength output. This is when maybe I want to do group classes. This is when I can push intensity if my minerals are supported. This is when you can this is like ovulatory phase vibes, man. They're the best. But please make sure that you are really focusing on cruciferous veggies and supporting the liver. Maybe you're going to bring in some bitters. Maybe you're going to do some castor oil packs. Maybe you're going to bring in some milk thistle. You're going to focus on the vitamin C rich foods. We're going to make sure we're pooping, all of those things to support our liver. Okay. And then I would also maybe personally, if I was going to be biohacking my life, I would maybe be supporting my body with some magnesium. Okay. So sometimes you're a little bit less tired at this time because you just have more energy, but recovery is still really important. Over 78% of women are deficient in magnesium in the US. It is your relaxation mineral. So let's really set ourselves up for success as we head into that luteal phase. Maybe we're going to be supporting our bodies with some magnesium. Okay. So as you head into the luteal phase, so that follicle that released the egg forms what's called the corpus luteum, which is now producing your progesterone. So progesterone is going to be our dominant hormone up here. It does slow down digestion a little bit. We do have a little bit higher cortisol during this time. You maybe have more cravings because due to progesterone, you are burning upwards of an extra 300 calories per day. Estrogen is a little bit lower at this time, so you're less sensitive to insulin, which again, may be why you have more cravings. So I actually increase fat a little bit. I increase protein a little bit, really make it a strong focus. Again, I'm looking at very warming foods during this time because of progesterone raising your body temp. I want to support that. I want to support that with my food. I want to support that with my overall life. So I'm not going to be I don't ever do cold plunging, but I definitely wouldn't be doing it in this phase. I would be doing like sauna, vibrating machine, lymph flow, those types of things to support my body in that area. I'm going to be focusing on potassium rich foods because potassium is your stress mineral. And we already said that cortisol is going to be a little bit higher at this time. So sweet potatoes, pumpkins, cinnamon, lentils, wild rice is higher in potassium, coconut water, nettle, ginger, turmeric. I'm going to be focusing on B vitamin rich foods. I maybe would be supplementing with magnesium and B6 to support my progesterone at this time. Maybe I would. Again, none of this is medical advice. I'm just giving you some suggestions that you could take to your provider to learn more. Seeking Health has a great brand that has magnesium and B6 in it at the same time. Look at them just being so smart and putting those together. B-rich foods are going to be beef organs. Beef is going to be great. Maybe you're going to be focusing on salmon, high in omega-3s. That's going to help if you have more painful periods due to excess prostaglandins. If you're seed cycling, it's 1 tablespoon of sesame and 1 tablespoon of sunflower in this phase. Make sure you're eating enough, okay? Sometimes we will undereat throughout the day because maybe digestion's a little bit slower and you're like, I don't want to be bloated. I don't want to do this. And then you overeat in the evening due to undereating throughout the day. So really focus on how you can support your digestion during this time. Maybe you're supporting magnesium and potassium rich foods. That's going to be a great way to help with bowel movements. Maybe you're making sure you're getting in enough electrolytes. Electrolytes are going to be great for those as well. You're getting in enough fiber as well, which is going to help support those bowel movements. And you're going to be supporting your liver, which will also help that. So supporting liver is vitamin C rich foods, milk thistle, dandelion. Those are great teas to bring in. You're going to be eating enough protein that supports our liver. We're going to be balancing our blood sugar. That supports our liver. We're going to be removing endocrine disruptors. That's going to support our liver. Maybe you're going to do castor oil packs. That's another great one. Okay. In this luteal phase, what I do with exercise is I still weight lift my entire cycle. Actually, I just will pull back the weight and increase the reps during this time, depending on how I'm feeling. I don't really want to overtrain. I want to make sure my recovery is on point. Do lots and lots and lots of walking, make sure I'm getting my low impact cardio, getting my steps in. And I welcome the fact that progesterone is a natural sedative and it helps me sleep. But if your progesterone is too low, this can cause restless sleep, sometimes night sweats and things like that. So again, where maybe you could come in to support that would be magnesium supplementation, making sure you're getting enough electrolytes, balancing your blood sugar. So those are the rise and fall of our hormones through our cycle. And those are the things that I would be focusing on. But again, remember, if you're like, that is not me, I don't feel like that in any of my phases, that's just really telling you this is a communication between you and your body, that your hormones are pretty imbalanced. And when hormones are imbalanced, you need to go a step up above hormones, what's impacting hormones. So that's going to be minerals. That's going to be your foundation hormones like cortisol and insulin. So blood sugar balance. And that's where we need to take a step back and start there. Okay. Because oftentimes we go, oh, I have low progesterone, or, oh, I have high estrogen. Let me take progesterone supplementation. Let me take Vitex. Let me take DIM, blah, 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 blah. But we need to go farther up the stream to what's impacting those hormones. So if what I just talked about, the rise and fall of hormones throughout the cycle and the things you can do, just seems mind blowing to you, you're like, my cycle is not like that at all. No which way ends about it. Then we really want to make sure that we are going further upstream. Okay. So number one is going to be the biggest biohack of your entire life is going to be blood sugar balance. It is. I'm sorry. I talk about it all the time, but I talk about it all the time because this is how impactful it is. Okay. So blood sugar balance is not eating carbs. It's not eating naked carbs, and it's not just protein, it's fiber. So if this is your plate, I have a book that I'm holding up here. Half your plate is non-starchy veggies, a quarter protein, and a quarter fat and carb. You're aiming for a minimum of 30 grams of protein. And I really am not kidding when I say half your plate non-starchy veggies, because that is your fiber, and fiber is going to lower your intake of the glucose into your bloodstream. And so you're not going to get as sharp of a spike with your blood sugar. We are not looking for a flat line. I'm not looking for keto, you guys. We need carbs for ovulation. We need carbs for our thyroid. I'm looking for rolling hills with your blood sugar, not peaks and valleys. Okay. And I know you go, well, my pancreas will come in and take care of that. Why do you think type 2 diabetes is on the rise? And Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes in the brain. It's insulin resistance in the brain. Every time we are massively spiking our blood sugar, we are massively spiking inflammation in our body. One of the biggest life hacks is if you manually balance your blood sugar and get these rolling hills, you have more energy, you sleep better, and therefore you're going to have better hormones. I can pretty much promise you that. Okay, so let's start with that biohack, or let's start with manually balancing our blood sugar. Think right now, how am I going to do that with my breakfast? Do you eat eggs and toast? Okay, can I add spinach, peppers, mushrooms? Thinking of how I can add fiber. Can I add some chicken sausage to it? Add some more protein? Maybe scale back. Instead of 2 pieces of toast, I have 1 piece of toast. Maybe you add some avocado. Boom, done. Breakfast is served. Okay, so it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Let's just start with balancing the blood sugar. Let's step into that. Okay. So, some other hacks that I just love is really bringing in mineral rich foods and drinks. And that's going to be teas. So teas are a great way, like nettle tea, milky oats, oat straw, alfalfa. These are very, very, very rich in minerals. And so it's a great way to bring that in without having to eat just like a salad nonstop. Okay. I really think though that we underestimate how much nutrition is in beef organs too. So those are a great one. But anyway, teas, they're great. Cycle sync your coffee. Okay. So luteal phase, period. Maybe you do matcha, or maybe you do a mushroom coffee to lower your caffeine intake, because sometimes you're a little bit more sensitive to caffeine, but then you love it. So maybe follicular and ovulatory, you're bring on the coffee. Okay. Really remember to front load your days with some protein that will help with cravings. You need more in that luteal phase, so really support those. And remember, the foods we really need to focus on in that luteal phase to help with progesterone is going to be vitamin E, vitamin C, magnesium, B6. But remember, the progesterone is determined by your egg quality, which is why all cycle long, we love to support our egg quality. What you're doing right now will impact your egg quality 90 days from now. So be consistent. Be consistent. All right. So if you realize that you've been working more against your hormones instead of with them and you want more support there, you can just go to bit.ly/HRP free call and we'll see how the hormone reset can help you.